Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday Night Live here in the Honey Block with me, OC Ejiofor. We've got another excellent show for you tonight. We are talking about minding your money. People tell you to mind your business. Well, you need to mind your money too, because if you don't, then you won't have much of a business. So tonight we're going to be having a think about what our mindset or what people's mindset can be like when it comes to money and finances. And those of you who've been watching the shows know that this is not the first time we've spoken about finances and money. We've had Emmanuel Asuku on the show. We've had Crystal McGilvery on the show. We've had Ken Okarafa on the show. And we've always spoke about money because I love to try and bring people of value who can share their wisdom and advice when it comes to having the right mindset so that we can grow our finances and have healthy attitudes towards money and finances. So tonight's guest is none other than Mr. Daryl Harper. Daryl is a senior vice president. He's a coach. He's a mentor. He's an inspirational speaker and financial educator. He's a financial educator. He knows how to create an impact, mentor, and coach others. And as a result of his successful 10-year career in teaching and further education sector. So during this time in education, Daryl noticed that there's a lack of financial education in the national curriculum, and he felt that this was a huge gap and he wanted to address it. So his interest in financial education and personal development and leadership grew, and he found mentors and coaches who were very successful in the financial services arena. So Daryl acquired education in 2008 and became the youngest ever executive vice president. Let's add chief in there as well in his company. And Daryl is a dynamic, energetic, and infectious speaker who has impacted thousands of people through empowering speaking engagement. He always delivers from the heart and aims to provoke his audience into taking positive actions when they are aiming to reach their goals. So tonight, without further ado, I'm going to welcome to this Honey Block stage Mr. Daryl Harper. Welcome, sir. Good evening.
Thank you. No, I'm not. Back in the day when I was growing up, it wasn't positive.
Sorry, say that again. Back in the day when you grew up?
Back in the day when I was you call someone cheap, it wasn't a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. No. Yeah. I mean, in the Nigerian sense. Yes. Welcome to the show, Daryl. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. How has your day been?
It has been fully packed. I literally just got up for this meeting. I've been doing meetings with clients all day. I've just done an hour and a half. Again, I've just sitting at literally 5 minutes before I start on this, and then I've got another bit that's to be finished for another hour and a half. So it's been packed, but it's been good.
Wow, packed but good. It's good to be busy. It's good to be busy. I'll tell you, I don't know if you can do something with your audio. I know the audio was fine before, but I think just now there's a little bit of an echo, and I'm aware that some of our viewers may be affected by that. But if you just double check the cam mic settings and click to on the audio settings and check that the echo cancellation is activated on there, that should solve that problem right out of the bat. But Daryl, again, it's good to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. What I wanted to know, actually, before we get into anything else, is what is your favorite sport?
MMA, martial arts.
Seriously, mixed martial arts.
Yeah, I used to play basketball. We can't talk. I'm sitting down. So I'm like 5'9" and shoot. So obviously I'm point guard, but mixed martial arts.
Okay, nice. So MMA, interesting. And you used to play as point guard?
Used to play point guard.
Nice. I used to play point or shoot, depending. If there was a better shooter than me, I'd play point guard. But yeah, a few things. So I've got a deep psychological, I don't know, it's like a high level IQ test to find out deeply about you before we get into this conversation tonight. So I'm going to ask you some very, very important questions, okay? You have to answer them quickly and honestly. No thinking about it, just answer straight away. Okay, first question. Manchester United or Manchester City?
I don't watch football. Okay.
Which one?
Manchester United.
Okay. Next one. Arsenal or Tottenham?
Arsenal.
Okay. Hold on. According to my okay. All right. And the next one, Liverpool or Everton?
Liverpool.
Interesting. Very interesting. According to my calculations, that tells me that you're an okay guy. According to that tells me you're an okay guy. So I think this is gonna be even better interview than I thought before. Okay, that's good. That's very, very, very yeah, that's very, very interesting. Very deep. That obviously
I'm all hot and sweaty for those questions.
well, it gets deep in the honing block, it really does get deep.
Really?
But naturally, there were just some icebreaker questions I thought I'd ask just to see, just see how you'd answer. Actually, it's a bit of fun. Okay, so from what I know of your story, and I like to interview the people that I like to research the people that I interview. I realized that for yourself, you were told to either be a businessman or you were told to become a sports athlete, right? So you either be a sportsman or a businessman.
Mm-hmm. Where do you find that?
But you became a teacher.
Yeah.
Which kind of disobedience man is going to disobey his father and just become a teacher instead of no, not really. So how did that happen? So you advise you that you should either be a businessman or you should be an athlete, right? So he obviously seen that you've got skills in sports, etc. But you wind up becoming a teacher. So I wanted to know, how did that happen? How is it that clearly your dad saw something in you, he's advising you, but you went into teaching?
I don't know where you took that one up from, man. You're good. All right, so how did I get in? So what happened to me? My goal was initially was to become a PE teacher or personal trainer. Yeah, that was always the goal. I did martial arts for years. I got my black belt when I was like 12 in karate, did kickboxing, did wing did all that stuff, and loved it. But what happened was, and if I pinpoint where the real passion came from, when I was 15 years old, my parents were separated, and my household was like a central hub for everything. Everything happened at our house. Christmas dinner was at our house, and they separated 15 years old. My mum was really depressed, and she later overdosed. And she was in a coma. She was in a coma for 4 days, which was tough. And at 15 years old, I literally kept them out of the house. And my dad would have me like with him working on the weekends and pay me a salary to pay the mortgage. And then 18 years old, he started putting the mortgage on my name. But to go back a step, so at 15 years old, I fell out of the education system. I bought school for 3 months, and the school didn't have a clue. They didn't realize I was there. I was at a quiet street, very popular, but I found a way to get around the system to get out of school. And eventually I went back and I said, look, I haven't been there for 3 months, and you guys had no idea. Bearing in mind the fact for me to board school for 3 months and not get COVID, that's a gift. Yeah, that's a real gift to be able to do that. So I sat there and thought to myself, I'm not a bad student. And you managed to let me slip through the nets. How many other students are you going to allow to slip through the nets too that may not be as focused as I was? And at that point, I decided, you know what, I want to go into teaching. I want to be the teacher that I wish I always had.
Right.
I wanted to be that teacher that was going to be there for students like me that weren't bad. But even if we were that, they just needed the right coaching, guidance, and hand-holding and so on to nurture them. And that's kind of how I fell into the teaching era.
Right. Interesting. That's very interesting. So it's a traumatic event is what I guess caused your mind to kind of wander away. Obviously, when things like that happen, and God forbid that happens to people, obviously you had to endure that. I guess you can't plan for that as a young person. You don't know how you're going to react. But what you did know is that you were able to not go to school and get away with not being caught. And I guess in the end, you kind of saw that that's a bit of a shame. Like from the school's perspective, actually, you've got potential. you could have done something great if you had been in school, but they just didn't even notice you were gone. How on earth did that happen, by the way? You said 3 months.
Yeah, so I should stop this idea, but it can't do it. I used to I might show up in the morning and you don't see me again for the rest of the day. Or when the
Right,
teacher's calling out the register, I never looked up, had my friends shouting at me, and saying, yes, he's there. Or you'll see me around the playground during
right,
lunch, you assume that I'm there. But as soon as
right.
playground things up, I was out again. So I knew how to make it seem like I was around, but never in any classes. I think for me it was disheartening that they had let me slip through the nets. Yeah,
Mm,
they when you just like, how the heck did that happen? I mean,
mm,
I'm proud of myself for doing it, but how do you allow that to happen in an institute that's supposed to care for you? And I said, no. Then that was kind of why I decided I wanted to go into that field. I just wanted to be someone that cared and lived with the young people and actually help them get to where they want to get to.
right, right. That makes sense. Wow, that's quite a lot. So then, talk to me about what it was like when you actually went in on the other side. Like you've talked about that experience as a student. So then, when you finally went in, was it further education you went to straight away, or?
Yeah, I went to FE. And funny enough, the plan was I was doing sports science and I ended up doing performance for media. So I had to act in front of the camera, but media science. And they offered me a job when I was 18 to become a teacher. So I hadn't finished, they offered me a job. And most of the students that I was teaching were like my age, if not older. And some of the students I was teaching were my friends in secondary school.
Right.
And to me, it was just normal. Like, everyone else was like, how do you start teaching at 18 years old? But that was just normal to me. I never put any limits on what I was capable of doing. And because I had no limits, everything was possible. So it was just normal for me to be, that was quite difficult. It was just normal for me to just go into this industry and excel. My thing was, whatever I decided to do in my life, I'm going to be the very, very best at it. If I was going to be a road sweeper, I'm going to be the best road sweeper that came out of hand. If I was going to be a toilet cleaner, I'm going to have the golden brush for toilet cleaning. So every environment I went into, my job was to be an asset, to add value, and to be the very best that I possibly could be. And that's what happened when I was a student in the college. Therefore, they offered me a job. And being on the other side is very, very interesting. Back to your question, is I never forget. I used to have my own office. I had my own office. I had fridges, freezers, music, stereos. I had my office was actually the principal's office. But I remember every now and then I would go into the staff room, and one time I remember one of the teachers saying, "Oh, I've got to go and teach these monkeys next session." Yeah, that's what they said. And I said, "Who are you talking about?" And there was every EA that no one really wants to teach, and for us it was like the BTEC diploma students. They really do that. And I said, that's interesting you call them that because they're absolutely fine with me. The only challenge I have is trying to get them out of my class when the lesson's done. They never want to go. And I said, the problem with you guys as teachers is when the student doesn't achieve in your class, you blame the student. But for me, when the student doesn't achieve in your class, that's your fault. That's your job. And it's your job to help them get them. So stop blaming the students because all you need to do is find a way to communicate with them in a way that they understand. And the challenge with most teachers and most people and managers as well is you treat everyone like you're playing drafts. Every piece on the draft board is either diagonal to the left or diagonal to the right, and that's it. But when you learn to treat it like a chessboard, you understand that every piece is different. And you have to understand how each piece operates. And that's how a classroom is. Every student is different. And you can't give them all, you can't teach them all the generic way. You have to know how this person operates, and how this person operates, and how this person operates, and find a way that works for them, and communicate at their level, and then get results. So I had the best results for the teacher in my department.
That's amazing. That's
I had
amazing.
the best retention.
And the best what, sorry?
Best retention.
Best retention. That's it. Give you a round of applause. I'll give you a dragon punch. Because the thing is, having worked in education myself, I do. I can very very much so relate to what you're saying. And I think that when it comes to a teaching practitioner, there are those who, either by personality type, stage of their career, time of the day, how they woke up that morning, they seem to be result orientated, i.e., what is the outcome going to be? I want this outcome, and that's it. They're not people orientated. Whereas education's about people, it's not about results. People bring the results. If you can connect with the people, then the results will come. And that's the unfortunate thing about the system, because people will continue to go to work every day. They're going to their job. They're doing their job. And if their primary focus is results, these types of things tend to happen. It is a shame that they're referred to as monkeys. Though. That's not.
Well,
That's not
that
the
was
best.
funny enough. Because it's funny because one of the reasons why I left, there's loads of reasons why I left, but they were more focused on, for me, what I saw there, we were more focused on retention than the results. So just to flip it slightly, is they were very more focused on keep them, retain them, so we can get our money, as opposed to actually helping the students get the results that they want to get. Do
Right.
you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
The results is okay, but just focus on what is it the result? The results of the student, not the results of
Yeah.
I understand it's a business. But my job was always like none of my students ever left with anything less than a merit. Yeah.
Right.
None of them left with anything less than a merit, because my thing was the people's potential, not their position. Speak to people's potential, they try to live up to it. So my thing was, if you're in my class and if you're one of my students, you're a distinction student. It just means that we may have to stay longer, we may have to work on the weekends, we may have to stay late, but you're a distinction student, and the majority of them did their best to live up to that expectation. And if they missed it, they landed on the merit, which was not good. So results always think about results oriented for the individual, not for the college. If I focus on the individual, the college gets the results anyway.
Yeah.
But I never joined for the individuals that want lives that I wanted to change.
That's right. That's right. That's excellent. Because this really is it. I mean, I think that when it comes to results, there's many different types of results you can get. And I think the academic results, they're quite obvious. You know, people know about those. But sometimes there are lesson results, the type of results that you want as an outcome from a lesson. And sometimes that's where people's focus is on, instead of actually, what's the process to get that outcome? What is the how can I connect with the people in order to facilitate the best result from this? And actually, does that result have to be rigid? What you plan the lesson for as you're going along, is that something that can change, or does it? Anyway, I'm getting into education side of this, but I think that it's amazing that you kind of saw that, and weren't just, because some people, they can talk about what's wrong, but not many people think to correct what is wrong, and not many people, when they try to correct it, are effective in doing so. So it seems that you not only saw the problem, you had the wherewithal to do something about the problem, and you were effective with your solution as well. There we go. Let me give you a maverick. Love that. I love that. So it's interesting. So you had that time, and you saw, as everybody, I think I saw it, almost every teacher I've spoken to has seen it. There's a huge gap in financial literacy, huge gap. So you saw that. The elephant in the room was right there. Then what do you do next? What do you decide to do next? How do you just change? What happened?
So to go back with the whole what happened then, my grandfather passed away. So I'd worked for 10 years in college without a day off at all. For 10 years, not a day off. My dad is self-employed. He always had the mindset, if you're not dead or in hospital, show up. So I've always had that. I'm not dead, I'm not ill, I show up. But my granddad passed away, and they told me I couldn't go. I wanted to go 2 days off to go to the funeral, and they said, no, you can have one. My cousin passed away the next month. They told me I can't attend. They said, if it's not a parent, a grandparent, or sibling, you're not allowed to attend. So at that point, I'm like, wait, I've given you 10 years of my life without a day off, best results, best retention, and you can't even let me off with compassion. Like someone else can go off because they've got a hangover, or a cold, or the sniffles, or an eyelashes. But I can't get time for compassionate leave. Best thing they ever did for me. I obviously the best thing that ever did, because sometimes in life you have these pivotal moments where something happens, you have to make a decision at that point. Do I continue to stay here being treated like crap, or do I actively change my situation? Because if I don't actively try to change it, then I have no right to complain because I've
Right.
chosen to stay there.
Yeah.
So sacked my boss, literally sacked him, sent him a picture of Alan Sugar underneath the picture, said you're fired, emailed that to him, copied every single member of staff in the email, got picked up in the Rolls Royce when I was leaving, rolled out a red carpet, bottles of champagne and balloons. I said, yeah, going out, we start. You know why I did it like that? Because I wanted to go to the bridge. I didn't want there to be any way for me to be able to go back and ask for, what do you call them things again? Reference.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
The bridge, I have to win. I have to succeed. I have to make my business successful because I have no other option now. So how I got into it is I read this book with Rich Dad Poor Dad. Very good friend of mine. I have to shout out my boy David Anchor. Encouraged me to read the book, and I was not going to because I said I don't like reading. It's not my thing. Anyway, cut a long story short, encouraged me to buy the book. I bought the book on Friday, started reading it Saturday, finished reading the book Sunday, hated my job Monday morning. That later on that evening, I met someone who worked in finance and decided to coach and mentor me. I read in the book, spent 14,000 hours in education learning how to know what hard for money. But they never teach you how to make money working hard for you. And just because you have this statistic education doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a great life or a career or what have you. So I felt like I was setting my young people up for failure. I'm encouraging them to go to university. I'm not saying I'm not knocking university at all, but for what I took, you didn't need to go to university to do it. You could have gone, been a runner, you could have done so many other things in the industry because that's how I did it. And most of my students, when I see them after 4 or 5 years, they come and visit me. They're working in McDonald's, they're working in Primark. None of those things are bad things, but it's not what I'd hoped for. So 3 or 4 years into someone's life, and you can't get a job in the industry. So I was like, nah, I'm going to do something that I wake up in the morning, I'm excited about. I'm going to do something that I feel like I'm making a big impact, not just for the individual, but for the generation that comes after them. And that was it. I want to leave this knowing that I did something. I didn't just. There's a point when there's time that you die and there's that dash in between birth and death. That dash had to mean something. I just showed up and that was it. Daryl Harper was here. Like it was Daryl Harper did something.
Yes.
Yes. That's what I want you to say. So what does that dash to you?
Excellent. That's excellent. I'll give you another round of applause. I love that. I love that. Do you know, I want to really pick up with this, but I'm noticing that some people are leaving comments from Facebook and from YouTube saying that your audio is echoing. So what I want to do is just take some time out just so that you're able to try to rectify that. I don't know if you're able to click underneath at the bottom. There's an icon that says cam/mic.
I've got the echo cancellation on. Maybe don't they want to hear me twice? The echo needs to hear me twice, right?
I think someone said that it's cutting out as well. So
try this. Is that any better?
I think so.
Let's try that.
Okay, let's go with this. You can hear fine, yeah?
If they can hear me clearly, then that's fine. I can do with the echo.
Fantastic. Okay. If you're watching and you're live, please just tell me whether the sound is fixed on Daryl's side. I'm really, really appreciate it. Just type in the comments. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, Daryl. So go back to that story. Some people talk about sacking their boss, and they talk about it metaphorically. You literally sacked your boss.
Yeah.
And you even used the Lord Sugar left-hand finger point.
Yeah, I actually made a video as well with the theme tune behind it, with a big finger coming out of the screen saying you're fired. Yeah, I did it because I said I'm never going to get this opportunity to do it again. I'm doing it.
That's amazing. Do you know what I think is all right? Okay, if you're listening to this on podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, don't do this at home, okay? This is not advice for everybody if you just kind of get tired with your job. I don't want you to tell anybody you found out on my show and you blame me, all right? So this is
But
Daryl's.
caveat to it though, I also had 2 years worth of money sitting in my bank account. So I knew that I didn't work for 2 years. My mortgage was paid, my bills were covered. So I set myself up. So prior to happening, I knew financially in 2 years I was going to be okay. I wrote the letter of my resignation on I dated it 6 months in advance for the 3rd of December. And I dated it and I had it ready to send it because I said, I'm writing it on this date. So I've now got 6 months to make it happen. The date was
Right.
this, I had to commit to it.
Right. That's interesting. Oh dear. So someone says, Claudine Archie saying it's still echoing from there. That's really unfortunate. I don't know what we can do about this. I'll tell you what we'll do. Daryl, what I'll do is I'll give you a chance to, I guess, if you log off and then reconnect using the same link.
Okay.
And we'll see how that goes because we want to try and make sure you're coming through nice and clearly.
All right, I'm going to log off now.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, people, this is how things go. You have a live show. Sometimes that happens. I don't believe my audio is echoing, but what I'm going to do is do something here. In fact, yeah, that's sorted out on my end. It's sorted out on my end. It's sorted out on my end. Okay, good people. This is how we do our live shows. This is just part and parcel of it. What I can say is thank you so much for your patience, and I can say that I'm finding it interesting. I don't know. It's brave. It's bold. It's I guess the planning side of it. If he had 2 years worth of savings stored up, knowing that actually he'd be all right for a couple of years, then I guess that's the comfort. Let's see. We've got Daryl back now. Hopefully it's better this time.
Can you hear me now? Is that any better?
I can hear
the
you.
echo. I can hear the echo on your end. You know.
You can hear the echo on mine. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. My echo cancellation is off. Maybe I should turn it. Sorry, my echo cancellation is on. So it shouldn't really be. Let me see. Can you still hear an echo?
No, it's gone now. No,
Okay.
it's still there.
It's still.
It's still there.
Okay. All right. No problem. So we've got some good feedback from the people who are watching live. If you are watching live, don't forget if you have any questions for Daryl, you can type your questions in the comments and he will be happy to answer those for you live on the show. And naturally, anybody who's listening to the podcast, that section would have been cut out. I love that about this thing. It's just brilliant. I just edit it, cut it out. It's nice. So yes, okay. So we were talking about you leaving the workplace. We were talking about the fact that you sacked your boss. You had a big leaving party, but you had the safety buffer, knowing that you had a certain amount of money for a certain period of time. You were going to be comfortable. You were going to be fine for a couple of years at least. So that's the sensible thing. So we said, okay, good. So we got, I love this. So we're good. So that's confirmation that everything's fine. Fantastic. So this is the place in the audio where I'm going to cut and it will start from here. So yeah, you were telling us about the fact that you were able to leave your workplace, but you kind of casually said you found a mentor. How do and people talk about this? They say, "Oh, you need to find a mentor. You need to find someone who will help you, etc." And I always question, what is that process? How do you do that? Do you just kind of find any random person? Did you know the person already? How did that work?
Yeah, do you know what? It was so, I showed up ready. You know when they say the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say I thought my way was a little unconventional because it kind of literally just happened that I showed up and I showed them the best version of me, and I started to work in the financial sector, and then they gave me some tasks to do, and I did them, but I excelled at them, and then suddenly, like, the CEO of the company is mentoring me, and the vice president is mentoring me, and that kind of happened. But that doesn't happen like that for most people. So I said, if I was to tell people what to do to get a mentor is, number one, well, in no particular order, be open to it. As long as someone is a couple steps ahead of you, they can guide you. Yeah, they've only got to be one step ahead and they can lead you somewhere. Yeah, find a mentor that, I always use this saying amongst my people, that backs their chat. They're not talk. There's some people that practice what they preach, and some people that preach what they practice. I'll say that again so some of you catch it. There are some people that practice what they preach. There's other people that will preach what they practice. So they will talk about what they've done, and so it's easy for them to preach about it. Some people that talk about, oh, what's good to do, but they've never done it before. That's like the difference between being a tour guide and a travel agent. If I'm going to go on a safari, give me the tour guide, not the travel agent, because the travel agent may not have been there. So you want a mentor that actually has walked the path already, and they've made that, they can make that path easier for you because they've got the experience, the wisdom, and the knowledge. Be prepared to put your hand in your pocket, because what you're going to get from them will save you time and money. Yeah, so be prepared to put your hand in your pocket, or be prepared to add some sort of value to their life. But when you meet with someone, don't ever show up without a notepad and pen, and make sure you've got some good questions. Because I find that people that are successful are always willing to help other people. That I found, they've always been willing to help other people that show up and they're serious. They are serious. And do you know what? I've got loads of other mentors that I've never met. Yeah, in a whole heap of books that I've got up here, that there are mentors, there's people that have died, that have done stuff that you can still learn from. Like, so I've got mentors from books that I've read and biographies that I've read about people that essentially have mentored me by me just reading their story or listening to their story.
That's brilliant.
Sure you can.
Oh, good. Never how you can.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Some people practice with tour guide, travel agent. I think that did it. That did it. That's the mic drop. That's the mic drop.
I'm gone now. See you later.
Yeah. I'll take care. We finally get the sound right, and it's just a one-liner from you, and that's it. And that'll be the podcast as well. I'll clip the end and just post that. But seriously, that is that's excellent. I think that would be very helpful for certain people, because I think certain people kind of have, I guess, a hazy understanding of what it means to get a mentor, and also what you spoke about as well as valuing the mentor and getting the most out of that relationship. Because I think sometimes, I guess, people are looking for that quick fix. They're looking for that quick cure, and they kind of want somebody to give them the answers and tell them exactly. And then maybe when they meet that person that could be the best person for them, they're not patient. They're not taking notes. They're not actually adding value, etc. And they run off and say, "Oh no, that person's not for me. I need to find someone else." Whereas what you're saying there is actually, I think it's very practical for people.
Every time I met with my mentor, you'd never see me. I would always have a recorder. I'd have my notepad and pen. Even when I was eating food, I'd have the recorder on the table. And so for the best part of 20 minutes, I might hear, but in between them, there's a bit of wisdom that drops in there. So I didn't want to miss anything. So what I can't catch in writing, I'm catching it on the audio, and I'm going back and listening to it afterwards. So my thing was always about show up like you are ready. You are ready to learn. You're ready to kind of draw the information, because the reality is, and this is what I learned about education. A lot of people don't understand what the word education means or educate. It means to draw from within. That's what the word means, to educate. So it means that you already have the answers inside you. You just need someone to ask you the right questions to get them out of you. And my thing is always just keep asking people good questions. If you ask people good questions, you get good answers. And that's one of the things I do with all my mentors. Is I was ready with all my questions before I met them. I invested time in making sure I was asking good questions. And I did, like, the night before, writing all my questions down. And when I show up, I'm ready. I mean, they can see you're serious. They're ready to invest time in you, pour into you. Because essentially what a mentor does, they pour into you.
That's brilliant. And I guess the flip side to that is you kind of have to have space for what is being poured to be received, because sometimes I guess people have their own version, their own way, their own method that they think it should be done. And that's interesting because you described yourself as a maverick. How did that work? Knowing that kind of, I guess your natural disposition is to think, no, I'm going to do it differently. Was that something you had to overcome when it came to your mental relationship, or?
No, because as much I'm a maverick against things that don't make sense. If it don't make sense, I'm going against the grain. But when it comes to someone who's got wisdom and knowledge and understanding, experience I don't have, I'm what I like to call stupidly coachable. So whatever you tell me to do, I will do it. So if you say jump, I don't ask you how high, I just jump. And I'm going to keep jumping until you tell me to stop. Because there is some that I've learned in life. Like I said to people a few years ago, that for you have to be submissive underneath someone's authority before you can be in a position of authority. So until you're submissive under somebody else's authority and wisdom and experience and knowledge, you can't be in a position of authority. So I learned to just be submissive underneath their wisdom. If I'm coming to you for mentorship, I want to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to ask my questions, but whatever you told me to do, yes, I'm doing it. Why am I going to argue against someone else's experience? Because if I haven't done it, I'm keeping my mouth shut. If I fail, it's your fault because I'm just doing what you told me to do.
Love that. I love that.
Tiger uppercut.
Okay, a tiger uppercut now. Okay.
Tiger uppercut.
I'm waiting for the I'm waiting for that.
Do you know what? I think that there's so much that people kind of learn about themselves when it comes to having a mentor. And maybe you don't know certain things about yourself until you sit down with a mentor. And I don't think it's necessarily in that initial meeting. The initial meeting's usually all right. I think it's the follow-up meeting. The whole to us, have you done X, Y, or Z? That's when you start to discover yourself. You start to figure out if you're somebody who makes excuses, or if you're someone who's able to admit that actually, no, you need to fix up and actually do something about it.
Yeah, 100%. My thing is, you either have excuses or you have results. You can't have the two.
Yeah.
And it's the accountability that you get from a mentor or a coach. And my thing is, once you learn to take 100% responsibility for everything that happens to you, it's so much easier. Because if you don't take 100% responsibility, then you're playing the blame game. If you're playing the blame game, you're taking yourself out of the equation, which now puts you in the area of weakness. But you say, do you know what? I'm taking 100% responsibility, which means you break down the word responsibility. It means that I have the ability to respond, which means I'm in a position of power, so I can make whatever change I need to make financially, mentally, or what have you. But life is so much easier. So be accountable and take 100% responsibility. No excuses, man. No excuses are not excuses are nonsense. Someone once said an excuse is nothing but a well-planned lie. That's what it is. But do you know what? Do you know what the joke is? Right? Just going off topic for a second. I realized that the whole educational system is what taught people to have excuses. I find, because when I was late for school, they always say, "Why are you late?" I'm like, "Because I'm not early." That's not good enough. Give me another excuse. Because I walk slow. But that's not good enough. Because I got up late. That's not good enough. So you encouraged me to give you a whole heap of excuses where the answer is, I just couldn't be bothered. But you didn't like that as an excuse. So when I was teaching, my students used to come in late. They go, "Sir, I'm late because of the." I'm like, "Nah, don't want to hear it." Because none of that stuff makes you on time. Just show up on time tomorrow. Show up early tomorrow. So we're brought up to give excuses, because then excuses makes it feel like whatever I didn't do is okay because I've got an excuse for not doing it. Just take responsibility. I jacked up. I messed up. I didn't do it because of da da da. Just be honest. You jacked up. So glad I took my tie off before this meeting. You know.
Yeah.
The waistcoat's gonna come off soon. Watch.
This is, you know what? It's getting hot inside of here. It's getting hot inside of here. Somebody's saying, "I hear you." Somebody else is saying, "Deep." This is people are appreciating this. What I would love to talk about now, because I think we could talk about that kind of mentorship. One thing for a fact, I've spoken to many people who've made that transition out of the workplace to becoming entrepreneurs. And Robert Kiyosaki has a lot to answer for to employers out there that have lost many people from the workplace because of that book, and the rest of his books. But there's so many people that are here that is the first book they read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and just something switches on. It happened to me, It happened to me. It wasn't necessarily in the order that I left the workplace. I left the workplace for very different
Yeah.
reasons, but that book was definitely like a galvanizer for me in terms of what I'm going to do now, what I'm going to do next. I think that, yeah, I think everybody kind of, I guess, need to pay him something or something. I don't know, cook him some food. You know, a lot of people owe a lot to that guy. It's very interesting. But yeah, so you have got a mentor. What I want to find out. So in your experience when it comes to mentoring others now, in terms of mentoring others, and kind of going back to your story in terms of your personal experience with, I guess, your parents and seeing the split up and everything, the pressure, the financial pressure. In your opinion and from your experience as a mentor, what damage do you feel is done by financial worry? People worrying about finances.
Essentially, a lot because my parents separated because of money. You know, my dad wanted to have more children. My mum said we can't afford it. My dad said we'll work it out. My mum said we can't afford it. So that's essentially what separated my parents. I mean, stats show you the amount of people that have committed suicide. There were stats at one point. I don't know what they are now, actually, but every 6 days someone was committing suicide because of money. On the list, when I was looking at something the other day on suicide of most deaths, there's like or separations or what have you. Like in the top 15, they're all money related due to suicide. The top 15 reasons why people commit suicide, I think about 5 to 9 of them were all money related, loss of job, blah 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 blah. So there's the mental health side of it as well. So when people are struggling financially, it has such an impact on their mental state and their well-being and the choices they make and the options they make. So major, I can't remember the question, so I think I'm answering it. But yeah, a major impact. And you have to have a level of faith that is unwavering for you to be able to change your situation. That's it.
I think that just that what you said about faith is very powerful because it's true. You can't just change a situation, especially because what we're talking about is extreme emotions. Like there are certain things in life that bring out the most deep and extreme emotions in a human being. And like you said, the facts and figures are there in relation to the suicide rates, etc. So when it comes to finances, it's a very serious, well, financial worry is a very serious issue. I mean, faith, and I'm a believer, so I go by the biblical definition of faith, where it talks about substance of things that are hoped for,
Cool.
evidence of something that's not seen. How people can actually get out of that is by having that substance before they've got out of it, by having that evidence before anything has changed, because that I know it's tried and tested in my life. Anytime I've applied faith, God shows up, it works. The situation has to turn around. And there's something else, there's some different type of strength. I guess I'm answering the question I should be asking you, but what what I want to know is for your workshops, you're helping people who haven't got faith, who haven't got a belief that that situation can change. Maybe they want help. Maybe to them, the solution is external. Fix it for me. Do pay my debts or some, people have kind of external solutions to this. How do you go about helping people, like you said, have faith in a situation that is so dire and so difficult?
I think it depends on the individual. So there's no one generic rule because everyone's in a different space and everyone's in a different mental space as well. So what I say to one person and what I say to another one could be completely different. But for me, it's always about starting off. Well, what is it you really want for your life? What do you really want your lifestyle to be like? Like if failure, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would your life really look like? And we have to start with it. You say without vision, people perish, right? So we need to have a vision of what it is do you want for you, for your family, for your generation to come. Because once we've got that, because what you'll find why a lot of people fail in life in general is they lack discipline. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why. But when you got a vision, discipline automatically shows up. When you got a strong enough vision, discipline is typically shows up. But when you don't have no strong vision, you don't have no strong. You don't. It's hard for you to be decisive in what your actions are. Does that make sense? But when you've got this thing that keeps you up at night, and this vision that is just burning inside, and the thought of you not achieving it will make you cry. Suddenly, discipline comes. Discipline comes. Do you understand what I mean? So that's where you've got to start first of all. Because we can talk about all the strategies of do this, save this here, put your money here, blah, blah, blah. But you ain't got no discipline. You ain't going to do those things anyway. And you ain't going to do them consistently anyway. So let's start off with where you want to get to. Let's find out, what are you dissatisfied with in your life right now? Because typically, every single goal you have in your life comes from a place of dissatisfaction first. I'm dissatisfied with the house that I live in. I want a new one. I'm dissatisfied with the car I drive. I want a new one. I'm dissatisfied with the husband that I'm married. No, I'm joking, right? But the wife, right? I'm joking. So all those things so you have to know, what am I dissatisfied with, and then what am I prepared to do to change it? Because the reality is, for you to live the lifestyle you want, you have to temporarily live the lifestyle you don't want to have, for you to permanently live the lifestyle that you do want to have. So what am I prepared to change and compromise with so I can get the things that I want? That's my first thing. Let's start off there. And that could be an hour conversation, an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation, because most people have limiting beliefs on what they think is capable, what they're capable of. That's it. They're trying to drive with the foot on the brake. The accelerator don't work too well when you got your foot on the brake. Does that what I mean? You have to be prepared to take your foot off, and you don't break for fear, you don't break for doubt, you don't break for anxiousness. You got to drive through those things. You don't break for worry. Like you put all those things to the side and you say, all right, I'm going to take a leap of faith and make a decision that I want to be the very best version of me, and I've got to make some changes, because if you're not where you want to be now, then the person that you are isn't the person that's going to get you there. The level of mentality that has got you into the situation that you're in isn't the same mentality that's going to change it. So it all starts with you first. And what do you want to change? Forget the strategies. What you work with you first, because as you grow as an individual, your income tends to grow. Your income will follow your personal growth. But if you don't invest in you, then your income ain't growing. That's one of the things I learned, is as I grew as an individual, my bank account grew. And that's I think people are always looking for the strategies and and there are loads of them, but it all starts with you first, and what's going on up here and your mental state.
I think that's brilliant. I'm giving you a round of applause. There's a lot to chew on there. There's a lot to chew on there. One of the things I want to pick up on is this idea of self-limiting belief systems, where people will actually have an idea of themselves that isn't accurate to any degree in comparison to the potential that they have inside themselves. Like most people see themselves a lot smaller than they're capable of being. And there are so many reasons for that. There's comparison with others. There's sometimes age. People look at their age and think they should have by this age. Instagram. I always mention Instagram. Instagram people can't they're not going to bother me now. I haven't got that many followers, but it may come to a point where they're saying, you're blaming Instagram. But it's the pictures that go on Instagram sometimes that cause people to compare and think, oh, I need to show that I have. And some people that fall into a trap of showing what they have without having it get themselves into quite a lot of trouble, because again, that adds to this kind of self-defeating, self-limiting belief system. And what you're saying is very true, because people can watch their YouTube videos, they can read books, and again, this is kind of one of the main reasons why I started this off, because people don't tend to hear from people directly. They will read blogs, they will watch little video clips, but when they hear from people, something different happens, because the reality is that video clip that you've watched, what stopped you from taking action on that is you. The information in the video was fine. And it's kind of back to that mental relationship where they've told you what to do, but if you don't do it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, my thing is, you got to have this healthy obsession with what you want. where it consumes you. Does that make sense? Not to the detriment of your family, your children, your loved ones, but it's got to consume your thoughts. And until it becomes a healthy obsession, you're always going to start. You're going to drift through life, and most people are sitting out at sea with no direction, just drifting through life, and it can't work like that. You've got like I'm obsessive about certain things, healthily obsessive about them, because most people that have been obsessed by something will typically always achieve it. When they put a date to it and they're accountable and they get decisive and it becomes a burning desire and they do all the daily habits that they need to do, they will achieve it. So my thing is the belief in you winning is not your issue because you've won in other areas of your life. So belief isn't an issue whether you can win or not. It's about whether you have the faith to go and do what you need to do to make sure you win next time.
That's brilliant. And I think that, many times some people hear the word obsession and they kind of they link it with negative.
We're not talking about money boiler obsession. We're not talking about the bodyguard type of obsession. No, we're talking about a laser-like focus obsession. We're talking about white heat kind of obsession. We're talking about with every spare moment of your time, you are doing something to help you achieve the goal that you want. And you don't have to do that forever. You only need to do that for a season. Because in reality, if you have to take this part of your time, and let's say that's 2 years of your life of solid hard graft, but after 2 years, you get everything that you want. That's better than working for 40 years of your life. And at the end, when you get to retirement, it's just you, a one-eyed cat with 2 legs and a plant pot with a dead plant in it. Do you understand what I mean? So we're talking about an obsession for 2 years.
It's true. Do you know, the analogy that comes to my mind is, especially when it comes to finances, and especially if it comes to debt and finances, my analogy is a boat in the middle of the sea that has a hole in it. If you're not obsessed with plugging the hole in that boat, you are going to sink. If once you've fulfilled the obsession of plugging the hole in that boat, you don't turn your obsession towards paddling that boat towards the shore, you're going to stay in the middle of the water. And I think it's that kind of thought process that what you're focused on is effective. You're focused on something for a purpose. And actually, when this is done, there is a result. Plugging the hole in your finances, there's a net result, and you can see when it's done.
Yeah, because what
when you're trying to grow your... Say that again?
What you focus on will flourish, and what you neglect will die.
Literally. Just like that. Just like that. Oh, brilliant. People are enjoying this. I'm going to say pure gems. Someone else is saying, I hear you. Facebook user. Okay. So, oh goodness me, time is running out. Good people, if you're watching, please, and I said this last week, you need to get your questions in early, very quickly, because last week I only had time for 2, and some people were upset. Get your questions in now. In fact, let me put the scrolling banner up at the bottom. People read the scrolling banner, type your questions in the comments, do it now, and I will ask Daryl before the time runs out. But I really appreciate the answer. I think in terms of helping people to develop that mindset and to build that faith, it really does. Like, there are certain practical things that people need to kind of consider in terms of their own self-limiting beliefs and in terms of that goal, that focus. And I love the way that you said not to the detriment of your family or your loved ones, etc. Because some people kind of go over the top. Like every single hour of every single day is dedicated towards this goal, and it breaks relationships down, right? And people's lives, like, they're inadvertently, not like they directly wanted to, but they actually destroyed their happy family. So I love that. Okay, so what I'd like to ask is, what advice would you give to people? Here in the UK, we're about to go into lockdown. In England, we're about to go into lockdown again. People will face similar things like this in different parts of the world, but not just now. People will always kind of face times in their life where the future finance are uncertain. Future finances for them, their family, are uncertain. What advice would you give to people, as you know, for us now specifically going into this lockdown, or maybe if people are listening to this afterwards, if you know that you're facing a time where you haven't got that 2 years worth of savings buffered there, what advice would you give to people in terms of both the mental aspect, in terms of the mindset aspect, because we tend to panic, worry, act irrationally, but then also on a practical sense, once you've kind of got that right mindset, some people advise that you pivot, you change, you do something else. Some people say have loads of different streams. What would you say to people in preparation for difficult times
Yeah,
financially?
I'd agree with all of them. First of all, you don't need to buy so much toilet paper. All right, let's stop being silly now, people. All right, right. Okay. But anyway, right. So I think I agree with pivoting. I agree with multiple income streams. I do agree with all of those things as well. But as well as that, not but as well as that, I think depending on what your situation is, you got to be prepared to strip back as much as you can. Because if you're uncertain about what's going to be happening with your money, your finances, and what have you, you need to now strip back and spend less. And because you're not having to travel no more, you're not having to do all those things. My thing is just do the essential, just pay for the essential things. Like if it were me and I was struggling financially, or there's a chance I could be struggling financially, Sky TV's gone. Sky TV's gone. I'm just militant like that. I'm on SIM only. Yeah. There's no food getting dashed out of my house. Just dashing food is like dashing money. Oh, say that one more time. When you dash away food, you're dashing away money. Just wanted to throw that out there as well. Like the simple things like Sky TV. Sky TV. Here's the one. Sky TV would be replaced with Audible. That's it. Because now I know I need to feed my mind and get some ideas so I can pivot and change my mindset. I'd be living on YouTube, not watching stupid clips all day, but watching stuff that's going to encourage me, motivate me, because in this day and age, right, there are people during this furlough season that are going to explode their business because they set themselves up. Amazon will explode, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or there's certain things that will explode. And my thing is, yes, obviously, have multiple income streams. However, have multiple income streams in multiple industries that make sense. So I know someone now, they've got multiple incomes now. They've got 3 income streams. One's in events. Ain't nobody having no events right now. They do wedding planning. Ain't nobody getting married right now. And the other one is travel. Ain't nobody traveling right now. So I've got multiple income streams that none of them can make no money. So what are some sensible industries that will last the test of time? Finance is one of them. Technology is another one. Yeah, so there's just sensible things that you can be doing. This, for some of you, honestly, this will be the best. This will be the best thing that happens to you, but you won't even realize it yet because of how you're looking at it. Because some of you need to get made redundant. Honestly, I don't mean that in a bad way. Because there are some gifts in you and some talent in you that has been stuck in the 9-to-5 job that you didn't allow to come out and excel. But in this season now, you're going to have to be thinking differently, acting differently, and be prepared for it differently. So yeah, strip back, budget, do a spending diary, only have essential things, and find ways of making more money, because there are loads of opportunities out there to make more money.
Brilliant.
I was going to keep raising my hand. I was on.
Brilliant. I love it. And I think that, you said that it's militant, but really it's sensible. I think when people look at their outgoings, there are certain things that you do need to cut, and you need to kind of say, right, this is not beneficial. And I love the way that you say you replace it with Audible, because actually that's personal development. That's something that can actually augment your income, change your situation, change your thinking. Investment in self, it can't be overemphasized. It can't be overemphasized. I think it's so powerful. But that's an excellent answer. I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to give you a dragon punch. Yeah, I think that
I can get a thumb up all day today.
These are the thing is, I can't explain the dragon, but maybe one day I'm going to do a live video and explain the honor and esteem associated with the dragon punch.
Thank you.
Because this isn't receiving a dragon punch. This is executing a dragon punch. You can train and train hard, but you come up with a different type of punch. But when you finally get it, you hear that's an achievement.
Is that Ken
That's
or
an
Ryu? That's Ken, isn't it?
That's Red Ken. That's not just Ken. That's
It's
Red
Red
Ken.
Ken. Go on,
That's
with you.
Red Ken. Yes. So now I'm a Street Fighter 2 Turbo fan myself. Okay, so I've got one question. I know time has totally run out. I've got one question from the audience. I'm going to pose that question and then we're going to close that. Everybody else is too late, unfortunately, this week. So let's have a look at this question here. I hope I'm saying your name right. Is this Alana B. Morin? She's asking, do you have a template that you use for long range visioning and strategic planning? Wow, that's a good question.
It's a great question. Even better than that, I do an event called Design Your Life where I do like 6 hours with people. It doesn't feel like 6 hours. Like this doesn't feel like an hour. Where I will mentor and coach them through the whole. It's like one of my favorite. All my events I love, but this is one of my favorite events because people have had the most breakthrough from that one. People have set up their businesses, and I know a couple of people that have actually set up their businesses from it. So it's not. It's a template. Yes, there are templates, but a template without the guidance doesn't have the same effect. If that makes sense, Alana. So yeah, there is a template, but a lot of it comes from a conversation as well, because then I plan it around the individual.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. She snuck in another one. She stuck in another question. Do you know what? I mean, I'm going to ask it only because I'm intrigued as to what the answer will be as well. Same person, Alana B. Morin. She's asking, was there a time you messed up and felt like you failed, and how did you bounce back?
No. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's because I never see failure as failure.
Right.
I only see failure as feedback. And the moment that I saw failure as feedback, I saw it as a learning experience. Because my thing is, it's okay to make mistakes, just make new mistakes every day. Yeah. Because if you keep making the same old mistake, that's no longer a mistake. That's just stupid. See, I said stupid, not stupid, stupid. Yeah. In my opinion, which I have done before, just so you know. So the moment that I said, I don't see things as failure, because when you see things as failure, sometimes you limit yourself because you don't want to fail. Because in school, you're taught, don't fail, don't make mistakes, where I said, no, this isn't a failure. This is a learning experience. So that's why I say, as long as I'm always learning, I'm never losing. So if I'm never losing, that means I'm always winning, because I never fail, because it's a learning experience. So I don't know if that answers your question, Alana, but have I made mistakes? Yeah, but I learned from all of them. But none of them that were detrimental to success and achievement and goals.
Fantastic. I think you have answered the question. She said yes, exclamation mark there. So that to me converts to a so
Another one, special moment.
there you go. So Daryl, listen, thank you so much for answering those questions.
Bless you, sir.
Thank you to everybody who's participated, especially those who have let me know about the sound and everything. We always try to get these things right before the show goes live, but sometimes these things happen. So Daryl, again, sir, listen, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I put down at the bottom that people need to just search for you on social media. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
I know that one of your handles is harper.daryl. Is that the same
That's
across the
that's
board?
my Instagram. If they go on my website, darylharper.com, so www.darylharper, so DARYL Harper.com. If you go on there, actually, I've got an event coming up on November the 14th. It's a free event. It's a 2-hour workshop. I think I'm gonna do Saturday 1 week, and then the following Saturday do part 2, called Path to Financial Success. Free event. If you go on my website, just say you're interested in coming to it, and then we'll get you the details so you can come to that. It'll blow your mind. Just come.
Fantastic.
You're on lockdown anyway. Where you going? You're in your come to the event.
There we go. There we have it, folks. So follow him on social media. That at Daryl at Harper.Daryl is this Instagram account. But if you go to darylharper.com, you'll find all the info that you need to find. You'll be able to register for his latest events. So guys, get on that website. Do it now. Do it today. Follow him and learn. Let's get our mindset right when it comes to our finances and money. Mr. Daryl Harper, thank you so much.
Yes, you.
We've got lots of acclaim. Like we said before, someone else said, I think it's Khadija, said Pure Gems. We've got Uggs Beauty saying thank you. Got Claudine Arch saying, fantastic show. Thank you, Daryl, for sharing your wisdom. So lots and lots and lots of appreciation for you, sir. So thank you very much. And no doubt you'll be coming back on the show sometime again in the future. We'll have a conversation that is uninterrupted by bad sound, and we'll do it all again. But thank you very much. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good people. Oh my goodness me. As per usual, another show comes to an end. Thank you all so much for joining us this week in the Honey Block. Next week we have another show for you as per usual. Do you know what? I'm just bringing the people. Next week we have Mr. Julian Hall, the entrepreneur, and he's going to be talking about his book. He's going to be talking about his business. He's talking about everything entrepreneurship in young people and beyond. So join us next week here at 8 p.m. in the Honey Block. Everybody take care. Have yourselves a great week. Enjoy the week. Stay safe. If you are like me in England and you're about to go into lockdown, please don't buy all the toilet paper from the supermarket, please. And just save some meat for me as well in the supermarket. But have yourselves a great week. Take care. God bless you all. And we'll see you next time here on Tuesday Night Live. Take care.